Some breaking news. The former SNP Chief Executive Peter Murrell is understood to have been arrested.
A political power broker who lived in the shadow of one of Scotland's most powerful people.
So she still irons my shirts, which is something that she still tries to protect as from a time prior to when she was First Minister.
Peter Murrell, as SNP boss, stole hundreds of thousands of pounds from the party he ran, working hard to avoid scrutiny.
What was withheld? What did they want to get at?
Bank statements in particular.
Some of the stolen cash probably came from donations made by independent supporters in good faith, squandered in a spending spree on luxury goods.
What does SNP need over £19,000 of luxury pens for?
Mr Murrell, any reaction?
From this motorhome to pepper mills, a pencil sharpener to a lawnmower, even gifts for his wife. The amount he stole surprises those who know him.
It was a shock. I remember that day still think it's unbelievable.
At one point, Murrell brazenly tells this jeweller,
I'm the man with the money.
I'm out here feeling as if I'm serving a sentence for a crime I did not commit.
How are you going to plead, Mr Murrell?
Police and prosecutors know how he did it, but will we ever find out why?
He had access to and control of party funds, and he used it for his own purposes, and that's the crime of embezzlement.
He was funding a lifestyle that I don't think his salary could afford.
A knock on the door of a home in a quiet Glasgow suburb upends a couple's morning routine and the lives they lead. Police search the house and arrest a 58-year-old man. This is the home of Peter Murrell and his wife Nicola Sturgeon, former First Minister of Scotland.
Police say it's in connection with an ongoing police investigation into the funding and finances of the SNP.
Mr Murrell had been Chief Executive of Scotland's ruling party, the SNP, for more than 20 years.
It's just after 10 o'clock in the morning, and as you can see, there is a heavy police presence here at SNP headquarters in Edinburgh. In fact, there are a couple of officers on the door.
It's a dramatic development in Operation Branchform, a police investigation into SNP finances.
Police have been here for several hours now. There's actually a van inside that tent, and officers have been moving between the garage and that vehicle.
I think for us to protect from media scrutiny and the integrity of the investigation, we made a decision that we would place a tent around the driveway of the house where we could process the items that we were recovering correctly and in line with our procedures, but also protect the integrity of that really crucial investigation.
Police confiscate a motorhome worth more than £100,000 parked in Peter Murrell's mother's driveway. Murrell is released without charge. Within days, Nicola Sturgeon makes a statement.
There will continue to be full cooperation. The last few days have been obviously difficult, quite traumatic.
A couple of weeks later, the SNP's treasurer is arrested.
Colin, how did you not know about the motorhome?
Political opponents say the party is in total meltdown. The treasurer is released without charge.
Colin, is this the worst thing that's ever happened to you? No, I was in Beirut actually when I was under artillery fire. That was worse.
Okay, Colin.
Did you know about the motorhome?
Soon an even bigger development.
We interrupt that programme to bring you some breaking news. Former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has been arrested.
Ms Sturgeon gave no comment in her police interview, later providing written evidence. She's released without charge and publicly declares,
I am absolutely certain that I have done nothing wrong.
She appears to distance herself from her husband.
In a situation like this, I can only speak for myself, and I am only speaking for myself.
How did the most important figures in the SNP end up with the police at their door? The story starts with online funding appeals to help with the party's independence campaign.
You can pledge your support for Scotland's referendum at www.ref.scot.
In October 2020, a pro-independence blog questions what happened to £670,000 in referendum-related donations after SNP accounts showed less than £100,000 in the bank. 6 months later, 3 SNP officials resign from the party's finance committee. The leader seeks to quash their concerns at a private online meeting of the party's ruling body, captured in this leaked video.
The party's never been in a stronger financial position than it is right now.
This former SNP MP and former party member sat on that ruling body.
Well, most people have seen the video of Nicola Sturgeon telling us that there's nothing wrong with the party's finances and that we should be, and I quote, very careful about suggesting that there was.
You know, just be very careful, all of us, about suggestions that there are problems with the party's finances, because we depend on donors.
Questions were met with an absolute blank wall, and also a suggestion that anyone who asked questions should shut up.
Tommy Shepherd also served on the SNP's ruling body. He's revealed how financial documents were taken back after meetings, apparently to avoid leaks.
It was never quite clear how a set of accounts by itself was going to lead to a political problem for the party, but there seemed to be this air of secrecy, and that led to a lack of critical examination, and people were, I think it's fair to say, not encouraged to ask questions.
There was no occasion that somebody came to me and said, we're concerned that somebody is embezzling money from the SNP. And there was nothing ever in the accounts. If qualified auditors weren't able to see that when they approved the accounts, I'm not sure how I or the National Treasurer should have been able to see that.
Police receive a complaint from this political activist who's not an SNP member.
I went to my local police station. They took the complaint, and 5 to 6 hours later, the fraud team came to my door and asked to do an interview to make a statement, which I did. The complaint was that, over £666,000 had been earmarked for a Scottish independence referendum fund, and essentially I made the complaint saying that a fraud must have been committed because the money had disappeared. It was just stony silence from the SNP, stony silence from Nicola Sturgeon.
Despite controversy, the SNP continues to enjoy political success.
The SNP appears to be on course for a 4th consecutive election victory.
The election celebrations barely over, further resignations. Joanna Cherry leaves the party's ruling body soon after its new treasurer quits.
Douglas Chapman resigned because Peter Murrell wouldn't show him the books, just as 3 members of the party's Finance and Audit Committee resigned because Peter Murrell wouldn't show them the books.
Do you know in particular what was withheld? What did they want to get at?
Bank statements in particular.
Police and prosecutors from Scotland's Crown Office worked closely together and used court warrants to uplift the evidence they needed.
The police investigation throughout was a very careful, thorough one, and they were not able to establish, according to the law, that the crime of fraud had been committed. But in looking at that, they became suspicious about other transactions.
The focus of the police investigation shifted from fraud to embezzlement when they saw purchases of fancy kitchenware from this retailer at a time when the party wasn't very flush. Detectives then noticed these items were not properly coded in the SNP's accounts and started to dig much deeper.
There was a number of different retailers that we saw that would, there was a question why that was required for purchase by a political party, and that was led further to some of the more bigger purchases that we've seen through the movement of funds, which became more important about the financing of vehicles, and obviously particularly moving on to later on a motorhome.
Peter Murrell was not only stealing from the party he claimed to love, he was doing so under the nose of the woman he married, who rose to lead the SNP. He only appeared on camera with his wife at key events, like the funeral of the late Queen, and of course at election time.
He said he's put on a lot of weight.
More typically, he was a background figure, although we were able to dig out this rare interview from our archives.
So she still irons my shirts, which is something that she still tries to protect as, from a time prior to when she was First Minister. She still does, on a Sunday evening, try to get me set for the week as well.
The best thing I do.
Peter Murrell seems to have run their household, while Nicola Sturgeon was busy running the Scottish Government for 8 years, until her sudden resignation.
And so today I am announcing my intention to step down as First Minister and leader of my party.
While Murrell's crimes were not yet public, by this time intrigue around the investigation was growing.
First Minister, just on one factual point, have you been or do you expect to be interviewed by the police who are looking into your party's finances?
I'm not going to discuss an ongoing police investigation. I wouldn't do that on any issue, and I'm not going to do it now.
Good evening. The SNP's Chief Executive, Peter Murrell, has announced he is resigning from his position with immediate effect.
He quits over misleading membership numbers, but it turns out he's hiding so much more.
The essentials of the case are like any other embezzlement, but the particular circumstances of this case were quite different. It was of a larger scale, it was over a longer period of time, and it involved evidence that we knew was going to take a lot of time to work through.
When you look at the graph of Peter Murrell's illegal spending, it starts small and then rises to a great peak.
I think the offending behaviour can be clear, and it went back a long time when we started looking at the very start of this. I think probably what it shows is there was an ability to be able to increase what was being embezzled. I do think there was that confidence in it occurred for some time about continuing to carry out that behaviour.
He's getting bolder.
Yes, that would be one way of putting it.
We don't know exactly when Murrell started stealing, but his proven embezzlement begins just 1 month after his marriage, with the purchase of 2 Alibaba laundry baskets. In 2014, the year of the Scottish independence referendum, he buys computer games, a telescope, and the first of several posh coffee machines.
He was doing a lot of online shopping. Some of that was retailers who were international. So that immediately means that the evidence you're going to be looking at is digital. It's going to be coming from different countries. That introduces complexity and process.
In 2016, he buys the first vehicle, a £33,000 Volkswagen Golf, funded with nearly £16,500 from an SNP account. It wasn't a party asset or a job entitlement, it was for his own personal use. He buys a handcrafted silver wine coaster for £3,500, described in accounts as leadership expenses. That's a lie. Police find it at his home. He bought a robotic lawnmower, disguised as legal fees on official accounts.
In this case, a lot of the evidence came from records from the SNP, from financial records from banks, and from records from retailers. Once you've gathered all that information from 3 different sources, then what you have to do is put it together and decide what does this show.
In 2019, he buys bigger, a Jaguar worth over £80,000. He trades in the Volkswagen and uses cash from false expense claims and money from the party account to complete the purchase. When he sells the car, he pockets tens of thousands of pounds for himself.
Created that false invoice so you could account for the purchase of a Jaguar motor vehicle through the party's books as something else. That's the case, isn't it, Peter? Okay.
So to me, he probably went through this process of what we would call cognitive dissonance, right? So that's where you hold an uncomfortable psychological impulse, like guilt or fear, but you rationalize your actions. You know, maybe he felt that he was entitled to these perks from the job.
In 2020, he buys a third vehicle, a luxury motorhome worth £124,000. Murrell pretends it's a campaign vehicle, but it contains no campaign materials and has only been driven 4 miles. Police also find travel guides for touring the UK and Ireland and pegs to screw in an awning.
Why would a political party purchase a motorhome was a question that was raised. What our investigation led to show was that that motorhome was purchased by an individual, was insured for an individual, and from that we're able to say where it was being kept.
It was kept at Peter Murrell's mother's home in Fife. We know Nicola Sturgeon visited, but she claims not to have seen it. She spoke to the BBC when the story came to court.
My mother and father-in-law's house has a driveway in front of their house where we would park our car and then we'd go into the house. Where the motorhome was round the side of the house, which is not immediately visible in the way that we went into the house. And it's between their house and the next door neighbour's house. Now, I genuinely don't have any conscious memory of seeing that motorhome.
Some of the embezzled items were gifts from Murrell to his wife, including a necklace bought from this Shetland jeweller.
Peter Murrell strode into the showroom and said, "I'm the man with the money."
Nicola Sturgeon often wore the £850 necklace, and Murrell clawed back half its cost from SNP funds.
Peter said to me, "I've got a surprise for you." And I saw you admiring this pendant and gave me it. Sorry. I loved that necklace and I wore it a lot. And this is the other thing. The idea that I would have gone about wearing things that I had known were anything other than what they were presented to me as, a gift from my husband. And to then find out that these were gifts given to me that he bought with the party's money causes a level of, I don't know, pain, bewilderment.
Nicola Sturgeon's frequently seen using luxury goods that match the description in court documents of items bought with SNP funds. Murrell spent more than £24,000 on Mont Blanc pens and other accessories, including £2,000 on one 18-carat gold pen of the type used in the Bond film Octopussy. This image shows Nicola Sturgeon at home with bookshelves, a tablet and a keyboard, all similar to those listed in court documents. He spends more than £20,000 at luxury brand Smythson, including monogrammed cards showing the initials N and P. He also buys 2 leather bags. Nicola Sturgeon is seen here holding one with the infamous Jaguar behind her. Ridicule is unavoidable.
Yes, it's the Jag and Bag. Oh, Jag and Bag.
None of these things I would have looked at and thought, how on earth could he afford them? We had incomes that would, as far as I could see, would have supported anything that I was seeing in my house.
Peter Murrell's creative accounting helped him conceal his crimes from colleagues here at SNP HQ. And that seems to have been made easier because of the huge amount of control he had over the party's finances.
So he is CEO, he's married to the First Minister, and I think what that does is it potentially creates quite an awkward dynamic. It would take a big step of courage to actually publicly or even privately try and challenge somebody who has that power dynamic over you.
Peter Murrell's term as SNP Chief Executive starts way back in 2001. He's not an elected politician. He operates behind the scenes, running the party machine.
In my recollection, Peter Murrell was very quiet and reserved. I sat in many meetings with Peter Murrell, but I don't ever recall going to the pub afterwards with him, unlike with some others.
Thank you, Convener.
Murrell's honesty has been publicly questioned before.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
When he appeared before an inquiry into the Scottish Government's mishandling of harassment complaints against former SNP First Minister Alex Salmond, he proved a controversial witness.
I'm trying to suggest, Mr Murrell, you've made an untruthful statement to this committee. Which is self-evident.
I don't think so.
On your own work. You said you told me.
I found him somebody who was very inscrutable and somebody that was very hard to get a straight answer out of, and somebody who definitely didn't like people like me who asked questions.
John Brady has known Peter Murrell for decades.
Current events are a bit of surprise and seem well out of character, because if you were to ask me what it was like then, you know, organised, cheery, happy.
He wasn't pinching sweeties from the corner shop.
No, not at all.
John and Peter were at high school together and in the boys' brigade with the man who now leads the SNP, John Swinney.
You know, you kind of saw some of your school pals on a Friday at the boys' brigade, and you know it was a very social scene, and you know Peter was part of that, same as us all, you know.
And as all includes John Swinney as well?
Yeah, we'd an interest in independence, and John was already a member of the party, so it was a kind of entry route.
And so, at that time, was John Swinney with you in the BBs?
In the boys' brigade, so he was a year older. Because
who was the leader of the gang then?
John, you know.
Swinney?
John, yeah.
That's the same John Swinney who appointed Peter Murrell as SNP Chief Executive.
I've known Peter Murrell for 25 years. That's before this Parliament was even built. I don't think I've ever thought of him as being flash, more reserved, understated, very much a background figure. Yet there is a contrast because he seemed to really enjoy spending on expensive technology to put on a show at party conference that would allow his wife to shine. He even developed a line of merchandise to promote her brand.
They were Scotland's political power couple, an arrangement her predecessor warned against.
After I stood down as leader, I thought it was my job to tell Nicola first and then Peter. I thought the combination between her being the First Minister and Peter being the Chief Executive was going to cause great difficulty. Not necessarily when things are going well, but as soon as things went badly, it was going to be a relationship which the press would exploit.
Peter Murrell, the former SNP Chief Executive and husband of the ex-First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, is understood to have been rearrested.
This time, Murrell is formally charged with embezzlement.
Mr Murrell, any reaction?
His life is unravelling. And within a year, Nicola Sturgeon's posting on Instagram that with a heavy heart, I'm confirming Peter and I have decided to end our marriage. Then, as Murrell first appears in court, police confirm Colin Beattie and Nicola Sturgeon will face no further action.
I was advised earlier today that after a very thorough investigation of all of the evidence, there will be no action taken against me. In other words, I am completely in the clear.
Is that reasonable for her to say?
All I can say is that Nicola Sturgeon was not reported to the prosecutor in Scotland by the police for consideration of prosecution. How anyone else chooses to characterise that, I have to leave it to them.
The Crown is far more concerned with bringing Peter Murrell before the High Court in Edinburgh to secure his conviction.
How are you going to plead, Mr Murrell?
Under the weight of evidence against him, he pleads guilty to embezzling more than £400,000 from the SNP over a 12-year period.
Peter Murrell was led away in handcuffs after his lawyer said he pleaded guilty. The judge in this case said Murrell's actions were a gross breach of trust.
I promised that we would get back on track. A key part of that has been the process to strengthen our governance structures and our party finances. That has been an ongoing process over a number of years.
A week later, he's summoned back to court to hear the financial offences he has admitted read out in humiliating detail. By special permission, the judge allows cameras in the courtroom.
From August 2010 until October 2022, he used party funds for a variety of unauthorised purposes. The total sum of money which he misused and thereby embezzled was £400,310.65. The source of those funds was the party's principal bank account over which the accused had control. The money within that account came principally from membership fees and donations paid by party members and other donors, and legacies.
The sum Peter Murrell pled guilty to stealing was £59,000 less than he was originally charged with.
Peter Murrell's lawyers contacted our prosecutor and indicated that Peter Murrell might be interested in exploring whether or not he could plead guilty to something that was less than the total case that we were offering to prove to the court. It's a very common part of the criminal process in Scotland. Prosecutors...
But why do you do that?
You do it because it allows you to put before the court, without the need for a trial and everything that that involves, including time, it allows you to have a much quicker resolution to the case.
We now know what Peter Murrell did and how he went about stealing from the party he ran out of SNP HQ for more than 2 decades. What remains more of a mystery is why he did it, why he took such enormous risks and abused the trust placed in him.
5 years after the police investigation began, the day finally comes when Peter Murrell is held to account. His lawyer says he accepts full responsibility and expresses remorse, adding that the funds embezzled will be repaid. There is still no clarity on Murrell's motives.
It is very difficult to get a clear picture for what drove your actions. Many of the high-value items acquired by you were not even used. And for my purposes today, I think it's sufficient to say that I cannot identify any factors which caused you to offend, which might be considered to be mitigatory factors.
The judge calls Murrell's offending a calculated crime of dishonesty.
Having pled guilty at the preliminary hearing, I impose a sentence of 5 years, 3 months imprisonment. I shall backdate that sentence to the 25th of May 2026, when you're first remanded in custody. That is all.
I don't feel any sympathy for him whatsoever, because there's people who donated money who have since died, who died, and their families were left feeling angry.
It's a successful financial crime prosecution, but it's a prosecution that demonstrates we have a system that will hold people to account, even people in political power.
I welcome the sentence that has been allocated, and I hope this provides some answers and some closure for members of the party who will feel deeply let down by the betrayal of trust, as I feel let down.
Will you visit him in prison to try to understand?
I don't think I will, no.
In a statement released by her lawyer, Nicola Sturgeon says she remains angry, hurt and distressed about the devastating impact of Peter Murrell's actions, adding she was utterly deceived and let down by her husband, whom she'd trusted.
A man who's operated in the political shadows is now returning to prison in a blaze of publicity. Peter Murrell's crimes have cost him his career, his reputation, even his marriage. And the damage he's done to the SNP and the cause of independence to which he seemed dedicated has yet to become clear.